Hello there, guys. If you're watching this video, you probably have a very simple question. What difficulty should I be playing Baldur's Gate 3 on, especially if I'm coming into the game? Maybe I'm coming into the game from other CRPGs, or maybe I'm just literally new to this style of gaming and I don't know what difficulty option I should choose. Well, I have over 260 hours in game, and I've beaten the game in Honor mode, which is the hardest difficulty on Baldur's Gate 3, where it's permadeath and you only have one save file. So I'm going to be breaking this question down really to be very, very simple. If you're, let's say you're playing on an Xbox, you're playing on PlayStation, you're playing on PC, I'm going to be giving you an answer on who should be playing each of the difficulty options. So let's start with the easiest difficulty option, which is Explore, and who should be playing this. This is great if you want to bring in, let's say, a roommate, you want to bring in your partner, you want to bring in somebody that is literally new to gaming or is new to CRPGs at all, or if you've never played CRPGs, this is a great idea. Any sort of person that's never played any sort of isometric RPG, they've never really played any top-down game, or they're not used to turn-based combat, I think Explore is a great way to experience the story and not be stressed with actually the difficulty of the combat. Now, I will say on Explore, really, it doesn't matter whatsoever what type of builds you need to make. You don't need to do any multi-classing. You really need nothing in the game at all. In fact, the game won't even let you multi-class. So this is a really great option if you're just literally getting into gaming and you want to see what Baldur's Gate 3 is about. You want to play through the story yourself, but you don't want to think about how the game is actually supposed to be played, learning the D&D 5e mechanisms. Let's say you have no interest in Dungeons and Dragons. This is where Explore difficulty is going to shine for you. There's no shame in it. It's just one of those things that if you really don't care about Dungeons and Dragons, you do not care about isometric RPGs, and you really don't want to improve, you just want to enjoy the story, which is amazing. And I do think everybody should be able to enjoy the story. Explore difficulty is for you. Now let's move on to the next option, which is balanced, or the classic difficulty. Now, some like Divinity Original Sin, they call this classic difficulty. In other games, it's basically balanced. That's what Baldur's Gate 3 is. It's basically the balanced difficulty. Balanced is honestly not as good as people would think, because the problem I have with balanced is balance really doesn't really get you ready for Tactician and Honor mode. However, if you're just enjoying the story or you just want to learn the game, then honestly, Explore is better. The only people that I would really recommend balance to is people that want to multi-class. So let's say you're somebody that is coming from Dungeons and Dragons, you've done some tabletop gaming, but you want to multi-class. Let's say you want to make like an int-based rogue or something. You want to make something that's kind of a meme build. You want to make something that's kind of fun or is leaning heavily into roleplay. So you need to be able to have multi-classing options, but you don't really want to have that difficult of an experience. Now, I will tell you guys, balanced is not very difficult, especially as the game goes on. You can struggle a little bit in the beginning, but overall, as your party goes on and on, balance becomes way, way, way easy, especially in Act 3 where you can get some very OP items. I wouldn't recommend balanced. For most gamers, I would recommend either Tactician or Explorer. So I think balance is kind of a bad middle ground, but that is what the majority of people are going to play on. And there's nothing wrong with balance. It's just you need to know who it's for, which is if you want to multi-class, but you really don't want to build a good character, you don't want to mid-max, you're not a power gamer, you really want to kind of keep it basic, then balance may be for you. But I would encourage you to either go down to Explorer or up to Tactician. Now we move on to Tactician. What is Tactician really all about? Tactician is for those gamers that actually do understand Dungeons and Dragons or want to understand Dungeons and Dragons. Now, it's important that on base Tactician, you can reload saves. So if you're just trying to learn Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, you're trying to actually learn the game of Baldur's Gate 3, Tactician can be a great option. You don't have the difficulty of Honor where it's just one save file. You don't have to worry about legendary actions. You're really in a situation where the enemies are harder. The general difficulty has gone up a lot, but you can basically overcome everything with just good builds and good preparation. And since you have unlimited amounts of attempts, there's really no way you can't complete the game, unlike Honor. So I think that Tactician is actually a great difficulty. I would encourage people after they beat the game on Explore or Balanced to immediately go to Tactician and see how you like the game. And honestly, I think just for a difficulty for learning the game, truly learning the game, Tactician is the best difficulty, and I'm a really big fan of Tactician difficulty. Now we move on to Honor. What is Honor mode all about? Honor mode is kind of Tactician plus, but the plus is a lot, to be honest. Um, Personally, I think after playing multiple playthroughs in the game, doing pretty much everything you can do in the game, I think Honor mode is the best way to play the game. The reason being you can't save scrum, so you're forced to live with your decisions. So every decision makes things way more impactful. Another thing I really like about Honor mode is because you can't basically go back to a previous save. In lower difficulties, you can basically get a bard or you can get a talking face of the party and get out of 95% of encounters. You're punished for this, specifically in XP on Honor mode, quite significantly. And you really need to learn every single encounter. All bosses have legendary actions, or almost all bosses have legendary actions, and the game is very, very challenging. You need to absolutely build an idealized party. You need to abuse certain mechanics, let's say like Tavern Brawler or like 10-1-1 Sword Bard. You need to really know what you're doing in the Dungeons and Dragons system. And also, you need to know how to metagame Baldur's Gate 3. Now, the big disadvantage of Honor that I will tell people about is I've had one or two saves completely ruined with bugs. Unfortunately, since it's a permadeath mode and you only have one save file, and the game is kind of taking care of this save file, unless you want to cheat and basically, actually go into your file system and copy this save file somewhere else, you can have a game-ending bug. There's a bunch of things that can happen this way. Thrown weapons can do this. You can get glitched off the map. I've had multiple instances where this has happened to me. There's a bunch of different bugs that can happen. One thing I would really recommend in Honor mode is really understand, and I have videos about this, so definitely go check them out. Really understand some of the tips and tricks of getting through fights beforehand and really understand optimizing experience. You need to know how to get every bit of experience in every act before Act 3, because you only have, if your party wipes, the save file is deleted. It's a great mode, and I would highly encourage everybody after they play the game several times, this is a very important point, several times to go and play Honor mode. Just know that it can be very frustrating. I had a over 50-hour file, and I might do a video talking about that I got to late Act 3, made one mistake, it was a wipe. So yeah, 50 hours plus deleted. So you have to understand that in Honor mode, you have to take things very, very seriously, and you have to progress much slower and be more careful. Also, things like long rest, there is double the supplies used up. Not that this is a big deal. To be honest, you can long rest all the time anyway. But just summing it up, guys, Honor mode is for people that really want to challenge. They really want to push the metagaming min-maxing to the max, and they really want to see how good Baldur's Gate 3 can be, because I do believe a lot of the bosses feel a lot more engaging in Honor mode. So my recommendation, if you're new to the game, if you're just starting out on the Xbox, the PlayStation, or the PC, my recommendation is honestly to start out and play one playthrough in Explore. That will allow you to actually just enjoy the story of the game, get all your role-playing out, do all of that, romance who you want to romance, have fun with the game. From that point, do more role-playing, but now bump it up to Tactician. If you're doing a second one, go up to Tactician. Now you have unlimited save files, but you start to kind of actually have to build a party and learn the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition system. Once you're comfortable in Tactician and you know most of the fights in and out in terms of the major boss encounters, where the major ganks are going to be, the questing in the game, all of that. Let's say you have 10 or 15 saves throughout the game, and you feel comfortable in all three acts, then go to Honor. And when you go to Honor, I would definitely research builds. I'm going to be making some specific build guides specifically for Honor mode, because I do believe some of the builds that work in general gameplay, a lot of the like Fex for Life builds and stuff that are more roleplay oriented, do not do well in Honor mode whatsoever. So I do think you need specific builds specifically for Honor mode. So hopefully this video helped you. If it did, definitely hit that like and subscribe. Hope to see you guys in the next video, and thanks again.